Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to our YouTube videos of Sport for Schools. Today we're going to be working on two different exercises. The first one is going to be a hand skills warm-up using a sponge ball, which will be the first video that you see. And then we're going to be working on 13 different tennis skills, which you can practice in the garden at home. For the first few exercises, the first 10 or so, you need one racket and one ball. And for the remainder of the exercises, you may well need a second racket and a second ball. Good luck with those. Today we're back to hand taps, and we're going to use the back of our hands as well as the palm of our hands today. So first of all, start by pushing the ball up with the palm of your hand and catching the ball, and then using the back of your hand to do the same thing. Keep practicing this for a little while until you're happy with using both sides of your hand. Once you are, for a bit of a challenge, you can then start using the front and back, palm and back of your hand to get a bit of a rhythm going with this exercise. Try and use the other hand as well. This will give you a good individual game of hand taps. There we go. I hope you enjoyed the hand skills warm-up, which will relate to the tennis skill games that we're going to do now very well. Okay, so I'm going to work through different levels with you. Level 1 is going to be the easiest and level 13 will be the hardest. So level 1 we're going to do single taps and we're going to do them double-handed. So what we'll do is we'll start with our ball on the racket and we're going to start by doing some single taps double-handed. Get a good grip of your racket. Try and keep the ball balanced in the middle of the racket and try and keep the hits even. On to level 2, same exercise, but this time we're going to just use the one hand. So we're going to bounce and use the one hand. You can use the other hand for balance if you want. That will give you some good balance. Notice also my stance of my feet. I've got my left foot facing forward and my right foot back. That gives me good balance, means I'm not going to topple over. If I have my feet like this and the ball stretches, I may well not be able to get to it. So this is a good stance. Level 3 is going to be tap and bounce. So a little bit harder now, so we're going to use the floor to make a bounce. Again, we're going to go two-handed to start with. It's a bit easier. So we're going to tap and bounce, and tap and bounce. You may need to bend your back for this one. The ball I've got is not very bouncy, so I've had to bend my back, and I'm having to move my feet a little bit, depending on where the ball goes. So this one is tap and bounce. And we can also do this one single-handed. So again, start here, start with a tap, and then let the ball bounce. And again, move your feet accordingly to where the ball goes. You want to be making the same connection on each shot that you have. So again, this hand is giving me a little bit of balance. I'm having to hit the ball quite hard. Well done with the first 4 levels. We're on to level 5 now, which is going to be throw, hit and catch. So I'm going to use my left hand to do the throwing and the catching, and I'm going to use my stronger right hand to do the hitting. So we'll do throw, hit, catch. Throw, hit, catch. My racket is sort of angled towards my other hand. It's not flat, it's angled. So throw, hit, catch. Throw, hit, catch. See how many of these you can do? Maybe do them at different heights. You can do some little ones, or you can do some bigger ones. Okay, moving on to level 6 is twiddles. So twiddles, we're going to make contact with the ball on this side, and then we're going to flick our wrist over and make contact with the ball on the other side. So this is one set of twiddles. So we managed to hit it one way and then hit it on the other side. See if you can do 2 sets or 3 sets. See how many sets you can get to. It's really important to turn your wrist very, very quickly on this one. And as you get better at it, you can do shorter, quicker twiddles, which means twisting your wrist as quickly as you possibly can. Level 7 is pancake. So for pancake, I'm going to start with the ball on the end of the racket. You can use 2 hands if you want. Let's start with 2 hands. And we're going to flip the ball up and catch it back on the racket. And again, flip and catch. So I'm going to do a bad throw now. So I'm going to throw it to the left. If you throw it to the left, you might have to move your feet. Or throw it forward, you may have to move your feet to catch it. But try and make the throws even so they land in the middle of the racket. Try on one hand, so use the other hand for balance. Same thing. And as you start to get good at this one, you can start catching it and re-throwing it within half a second or so of catching it. Level 8, we're going to use the second racket now, but we're just going to use the one ball. So I've got a second racket, and this one's called chopstick. So I'm going to put the ball on the floor, and I'm going to have a racket in each hand, and I'm going to pick the ball up using the chopsticks. And I'm going to look to throw and catch the ball in front of my eyes using the chopsticks. Lots of different ways of doing this. You can drop the ball first, catch it. You can throw it up and catch it like we were showing earlier. That would be the next one to do. Or you can make a tap before you catch it. Or you can make a tap before you catch it on the floor, which is even trickier. Level 9 is double ball bounces. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the ball. We're going to use our 2 rackets. We're going to hit the ball at an angle like this. So the ball bounces in the middle of our body, but we're using both rackets to hit it. Something like this. So start with the ball on one racket, bounce it on the floor, and then start your double ball bounces. Notice my rackets are angled again in towards each other, and I'm looking to get this ball bounced in the middle of my body. If you don't get it bounced in the middle of your body, it will just stay on one side like this. So it's really important to try and make sure that it bounces in the middle of your body. Level 10, we're going back to one racket and using our hand this time on the other side. So again, I'm using my right hand, which is my strongest to use with the racket, and I'm going to use my left hand to do hand taps when the ball comes back. So something like this. So start with a bounce and then a hand tap. We're going to look to bounce and hand tap as many times as we can. Again, my hand is trying to push the ball back to the racket on this side. This one is quite a tricky one. Try and make sure your hand taps are quite solid, quite hard hand taps. Level 11, I'm going to do down on my knees. So I've got 2 balls and 1 racket. And what I'm going to look to try to do is flip the balls and catch them on the other side of the racket and see how many times I can do that. So it's up and catch, and up and catch, and up and catch, and up and catch. Level 12 is fish and chips. So these are becoming very, very tricky now. This part of the racket is the fish because it's big. And this part of the racket, the frame, are the chips because they're thin. And what we're going to look to do is we're going to look to bounce on the fish and then bounce on the chips. Bounce on the fish and bounce on the chips. So here's one section of fish and chips. So bounce fish and chips. Fish and chips. See if we can do 2. And 3. Quite a tricky one this. You need to have a good twist of your racket and be prepared to go wherever the ball goes. Level 13 is chops. So we're going to start with a few bounces and then we're going to look to chop or slice under the ball and try and make the ball spin. I'm going to do this on my knees, which is quite tricky. You may want to stand up and give this a go. So for chops, get the ball going in front of you with taps and then start chopping underneath the ball. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to make it spin. As you can see from there, the ball is spinning quite nicely. I'm going to try and pick the speed up a little bit so that we get more spins. quite tricky on your knees. And there we go. Hope you enjoyed those 13 levels of tennis skills. Give some of them a practice and follow us on Sport for Schools on Facebook and Sport for Schools Kent on Instagram. Look out for our remaining YouTube videos this week at Sport for Schools. Well done, boys and girls.